friends, thank you so much for being with us on this Friday, August 15th. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. Welcome to Weather Out West. And you may know by now that this is an hour-long show where we showcase what's happening weather-wise across the western United States, where you're going to find forecasts from our meteorologists in the Pacific Northwest, the Mountain West, California, and Arizona. Today we're going to start in Seattle. They have a weather alert day, or a first alert weather day, because of an atmospheric river. It's sending rounds of beneficial rain into Washington. Here's Rich Marriott with much more.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Rich Marriott, and happy Friday. We've made it to Friday, and it may seem like the season has changed if you're in the Pacific Northwest, especially up around Seattle. As we saw rain move in yesterday, we got almost a quarter of an inch of rain out of the airport before midnight last night, which is more than we've received all the way since the 1st of July, as we're getting a really unusually strong storm pushing into western Washington here in the middle part of August. You can see the warm front that gave us the rain last night has disappeared off into eastern Washington. A little bit of a pause right now, but the cold front approaching the coast, that is going to be pushing in there, and that is going to be bringing potentially some heavy rain and gusty winds to the Puget Sound as we head towards later this afternoon and this evening, as that system kind of moves through there. And because of that, we've made it a first alert weather day today. That's going to continue through 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. The front should move through about midnight, 1 o'clock, and once it moves on out of Puget Sound, things should quiet down very quickly. But largely it's unseasonably wet and blustery. If we had this storm towards the end of September, we wouldn't pay quite as much attention to it. But this is just a heads up that you're going to see more rain and wind out of this than you normally would. And those things that you've had out all summer that you didn't worry about when you had a little bit of drizzle or whatever, you might want to just put away for a couple days till things dry out once again. We're also looking at rising rivers, not looking for any flooding with that, but a lot more water is going to pour into those rivers. A lot of people like to float them this time of the year, and those waters might be a little bit more dangerous than they would be usually. So definitely be careful if you're going to be on or near any of those rivers over the course of the next couple of days. Pretty much this applies to all of western Washington today. Checking the view there from our Bellingham Tower Cam mid-morning, just looking dark and threatening. Occasional showers showing up right now, and not looking nearly as wet as it will a little bit later on. Looking fairly wet out at the airport, and they will continue to pick up pretty good rainfall. They could pick another half to maybe 3/4 of an inch before we're done with this system. And there in Tacoma, seeing some occasional drizzle this morning. Overall, our first alert 7-day forecast shows this is just temporary. We're going to start to dry out tomorrow. Should get back into summer weather, and I should add comfortably summer weather. It's not going to be any 90s like we saw earlier this week, but looks like mostly 70s as we head into next week overall. Take a look at the satellite image this morning. A really nicely formed front for this time of the year. Again, this is something we expect to see towards the end of September. That is going to be pushing in as we head towards this afternoon, bringing us that fairly heavy rain as we head into the afternoon commute. And also, the Seahawks game against the Chiefs tonight at 7 o'clock at Lumen Field is going to be a wet game for sure, so take your rain gear with you to the ballpark tonight. Take a look at our rainfall totals from our computer models. You can see as we move through the day today, a few tenths of an inch over the interior, not all that much, a little bit more out towards the coast. But once we get into the afternoon hours and the evening hours, see it really mounts up very quickly. It's going to turn pretty wet during that period of time, and then as we head beyond that, things should start to dry out just a little bit as we head towards early tomorrow morning, and then just off and on showers for Saturday. In terms of wind gusts, you can see where they're going to be roughly in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range most spots, and then they die off pretty quickly once we get that front through during the early morning hours, and shouldn't be much of a problem by the time we get past that. And you can see fairly light winds as we head on towards the evening on Saturday. Checking those weekend forecasts, if you're headed up to the coast, you're going to be looking for a rainy day today, it looks like. As we head into Saturday, off and on showers and some sun breaks. Sunday, there might still be a stray shower, but mostly it's just going to be a cloudy day out there. Temperatures will be mostly in the upper 60s as we head into the bulk of the weekend. If you're headed around Puget Sound, of course, today it's going to be some heavy rain at times and also pretty breezy in spots, and high temperatures dropping all the way back to the upper 60s. We're going to be looking for decreasing showers on Saturday, and then Sunday overall partly sunny. There might be a couple of showers left over, but I think for most places it's going to be dry. So if you have outdoor plans on Sunday around Puget Sound, I think you're going to be in good shape. And if you happen to be heading up to the Cascades, first of all, the snow level around 12,000 feet, so you're not really going to be worrying about that for most hiking trails. But a rainy day today, quite a few showers tomorrow, but Sunday might not be a bad day to do a little bit of hiking with the temperatures getting into the mid-60s and just a couple showers around the area. You see those temperatures really dropping off today from where we have been in the upper 60s to right near 70 degrees. And as we head on through tomorrow, we'll start to warm up again, decreasing showers and clearing temperatures into the mid-70s. Just a couple of showers around on Sunday, otherwise partly sunny, and then partly to mostly sunny for next week, and those high temperatures looking pretty nice, mostly in the mid to upper 70s.
Now let's head down the I-5 corridor into Portland, Oregon, where they're going to have some rain as well. Rod Hill from Portland has all the details.
On a Friday, our roses are a little bit wet this morning here in Portland, the Rose City. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. It's not a bad day down here. It is very gray, very overcast, type of thing we don't see that often in August. But so far it's been more damp than wet, with just traces of light moisture being reported in the Willamette Valley, which is Salem, Portland, and up into Vancouver. It's been a little wetter along our coast. You can certainly see the fetch of moisture trying to come in. The weather modeling seems to have a really good handle on this, and by that, I'm going to say that we're not going to see much rain, total rain, in Portland all the way through 5 o'clock this afternoon. Most of what we're going to get in terms of what will accumulate in a rain gauge will hold off until this evening and come in overnight tonight as well. This can be a beautiful live camera, but this morning along our central beaches, Schnookwan's Casino Resort in Lincoln City, yeah, see the raindrops there. It's been raining up at iconic Timberline Lodge up on Mount Hood as well. Temperatures have been in the 40s this morning, and folks at 6,000 feet only going to see a high today of about 50 degrees. You've got to get up above 8,000 feet to find a chance of any snow, so it's rain. Here's a look at our state capitol. It's been just a dab or traceable amounts of rain so far this morning down in Salem. Here's Portland, and you can see the clouds almost to the west hills behind our city. So they're pretty low. At any point, again, you folks might encounter a raindrop or a light shower. It's just going to be one of those gray days. But again, with the rain jacket on, certainly not bad to be out and about. Futurecast shows that. Here we are. We'll get you into 1 o'clock this afternoon. Now, 1 o'clock this afternoon, our north coast, Tillamook, Astoria, rain starting to pick up, and also perhaps inland up into Kelso, Longview. But Portland, Salem, down to Eugene, still pretty quiet. And even at 5 o'clock, if you look carefully, it's raining at the coast. It's raining north of Portland. But from Portland down through Salem, maybe not that much. So it's at least, fingers crossed, a possibility folks will get into the afternoon drive home without much total rain. Now, at some point this evening, and this model loves it happening at, say, the 8 o'clock hour, the rain will pick up. And then we're into this widespread, soaking, drenching rainfall that will go on for hours. Nothing stormy, just good drenching rainfall through much of the overnight hours. The actual cold front crosses I-5, moves through Portland at about 2 a.m. This is Futurecast at 3 a.m., showing the rain is now moving up into the Cascades, out of the valley. And then you wake up on Saturday to get your weekend really going. This shows some lingering light stuff, mainly Cascade Field Hill communities. And as we go through the day on Saturday, we become partly cloudy. There could be a spotty shower. I think there could be a spotty shower on Sunday too. But overall, all of this clears by the time folks get up Saturday morning, and we have a nice weekend with partly cloudy skies both days and temperatures both days in the 70s. So how much rain are we talking about? And especially for Portland and Salem, the majority of these numbers come in this evening and overnight when that rain band picks up. It shows about a quarter in Corvallis, 31 100ths in Salem, 32 100ths in Portland. More rain up to the north. Kelso, a half of an inch. Astoria could get about 66 100ths of an inch out of all this. So our valley numbers for you, we're in the 70s, very gray, very dark, a few light showers around, not a bad day. Rain increases this evening, shows Salem at 75. Our southwest Washington numbers, including Vancouver, 73. More showers north of the Columbia River during the day today than we'll see south. It is a beautiful day out in eastern Oregon with sunshine and temperatures in the 80s. And our resort areas in Bend and Sun Rivers should be nice today too. Bend gets up to about 80 degrees. Portland 7-day. Here it is. And there's the nice weekend. Partly cloudy skies overall. 76 on Saturday, 78 degrees on Sunday.
Coming up after a quick break, we're staying in the Northwest, but this time we're headed to Spokane, Washington and Boise, Idaho. While Seattle and Portland are welcoming rain on this Friday, eastern Washington will get in on the rain as well. Here's Thomas Patrick with the forecast from Spokane.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. Weather conditions heading into the weekend, a lot different than how it started the week here, because we started out in the 90s with high fire danger, red flag warnings by this Wednesday, but now cooler weather and some rainfall for the region. It's all been light scattered showers so far on Friday morning, but looks like we'll have our best bout of rainfall for Saturday morning. That's why that clears our top weather headline, even though things are a bit cooler in the region by comparison. And thankfully our smoke issues, minor if any. The air quality has been good so far this morning, but something that we are still monitoring very closely. There's that live picture over Lake Coeur d'Alene on a very cloudy morning for the inland Northwest. Been a few spots of sprinkles and light showers so far during the day, but not enough to give us any kind of headaches, just some light rain to wet the ground at most. Yesterday was a beautiful day now that temperatures have cooled off a little bit. Just took a peaceful walk in one of the more beautiful parks in Spokane. That's Manitou Park. I was surprised to see how tall the sunflowers are. It always astounds me to know how tall those plants can get, but an absolutely beautiful scene. Saw the fair weather cumulus clouds in the sky in the distance. It was a very pleasant day, but it gets even cooler yet as of this Friday. Even our high temperatures, 82 is actually one of the warmer spots in Spokane today at slightly below average, but many locations will end up in the mid to upper 70s this afternoon. Certainly everybody will be there by Saturday, which will be our coolest day of the week. The reason for that, big storm system that is swirling and generating some strength near British Columbia, and the water vapor imagery shows where all that moisture is heading. And it's actually a pretty wide swath all through the Pacific Northwest. Now, the water vapor doesn't always necessarily mean rainfall, but there is the available moisture. In the case of eastern Washington and central Washington, it's very lightly scattered rain, but the cloud cover certainly is overcast for today. But all that rain is getting very isolated and scattered. It's almost like it's getting chopped up for the rest of the morning. And that will be the trend for today. Despite some very light rainfall in the Friday morning hours, we are trending drier by this afternoon. And then we will rinse and repeat heading into Saturday morning as the next bout of rainfall will be passing through. So a peek at our future tracker computer model simulation, again, trending much drier for Friday afternoon for Spokane. But here comes that next wave of rainfall, same storm system, and now the front will arrive by Saturday morning. This is 6-7 a.m., first passage of that rain in Spokane, and it actually rains for a few hours. Notice how widespread this is. A lot different than that Doppler radar look from a second ago here. So I think it rains for about 4 to 6 hours in the morning on Saturday before we get to that drier period by the afternoon. Again, save for maybe a spotty shower around the mountains. But a wet start to the day and weekend, but the back 3 quarters of the weekend, Saturday afternoon, and definitely on Sunday, is going to trend much drier. So for anybody that's going to make outdoor plans, the second half of the day Saturday should be much better, but the grass might still be pretty wet from that morning rainfall. We'll have a much sunnier and a slightly warmer day on Sunday. In terms of how much rain, we're looking at 1 to 3/10 of an inch of rain around the inland Northwest, which isn't too bad, but obviously pales in comparison to the higher totals expected on the west side. But notice the temperature is cooling off, especially for August standards. Even 82 today is pretty warm for Spokane compared to other locations. 75 tomorrow will be the coolest. And then we're right back into the 80s all of next week, back to that normal sunny and dry August weather pattern.
Soak in all of that beneficial rain. It's going to be pleasant and warm Friday in Boise, but storm chances do return to the forecast later in the weekend. Hector Mendoza has all of those details.
Hello, I'm Hector Mendoza out here at KTVB forecasting from Boise, Idaho, and we have a lot of events here in the Treasure Valley, whether it's the Western Idaho Fair, the Boise Open, the Caldwell Night Rodeo. There is so much to do as you're heading into the weekend, and temperatures are looking pretty good for the kickoff of the Western Idaho Fair, as we'll stay into the 90s for this afternoon, continuing until those upper 80s by 8 o'clock, and then we're going to see nothing but sunshine through the rest of the day today. So expecting to see that at least into today and start to see those clouds increase in through Saturday. And that's the other thing that we're going to pay attention to is Saturday morning, as Albertson's Boise Open is started, and it will continue through the weekend. And these are going to be some of the conditions and some of the temperatures that we're going to be seeing for tomorrow. We will have some clouds overhead through the morning, but we're going to see those temperatures stay pretty mild into those upper 70s by 11 o'clock. And then by noon, we see those temperatures back into those low 80s, and then wind gusts expecting them to stick around 25 miles an hour coming in from the northwest as we head on into tomorrow. But as we continue and see those high temperatures for Saturday, 91 degrees is what we're expecting with some partly cloudy skies. Those will increase through the rest of the rest of that afternoon. Then into Sunday, we see some of those partly cloudy skies continue through Sunday. We'll see a drop in temperature. There's a chance that we could see some showers and some thunderstorms that could roll along, although the chances are low, but still cannot rule that out as we look on ahead towards the weekend. And it's going to be that system off the Gulf of Alaska that'll make its way through, that'll bring in some of the precipitation, but it looks like it stays limited as once we see this system make its way inland, that's when we're going to start to see some of that moisture starts to kind of pull back as it makes its way through our neck of the woods. But as we look on into Friday, again, another setup where we see those thunderstorm chances and isolated showers that continue in areas into southern Twin Falls County, all the way through eastern Idaho, so through areas like Pocatello and in through Idaho Falls. That's where it stays confined, as we are seeing some of that stay into some of that corner there. And then as we continue on, as we look ahead on into Saturday, we'll start to see those clouds increase and some showers, most likely up into some of the mountain areas and through the Owyhees that could make their way through the Treasure Valley, but not expecting much of that. But again, can't rule it out through Saturday afternoon. The best chance we'll see is possibly Sunday afternoon. So again, we see this moisture coming in through Saturday, that as it makes its way closer in through Idaho, we start to see that it starts to it almost looks like it disappears, and that is because it is starting to weaken as it makes its way through southwest Idaho. And that's where we're going to start to see some of those clouds, some limited moisture and some limited isolated showers that comes along for Saturday afternoon. But it's not until Sunday where we see a sort of more wider spread sort of chance of some of those showers to come along for some of those higher elevation areas, including some spots where we see a sort of lesser chance there through the Treasure Valley there on Saturday and then through Sunday. But as we look at the 7-day forecast, we'll see some of those clouds continue Saturday into Sunday. Temperatures drop to those upper 70s and then into the low 80s for Monday. And that sunshine returns as we're going to have another warm up that comes along. So temperatures get very warm and back into the 90s as we get on into Thursday and Friday. As we look at the 7-day forecast for Twin Falls, we'll see those temperatures into the mid 80s for Sunday. Partly cloudy skies for the weekend, but that sunshine returns with temperatures back into those low 90s and above average there for Monday, Tuesday, and through the middle of the week. And as we take a look at our 7-day forecast, we will see those temperatures drop back down into the upper 80s. Then we see those chances of thunderstorms and some of those showers that come along there into Sunday afternoon. But after that, as we start the following week and we get into the second week of school, we will see temperatures back up into the low 90s for Monday, upper 90s there into Tuesday. And then as we head on closer into Thursday, we are expecting to see those temperatures to stick around the mid 90s, possibly getting closer to triple digits into Friday, but we do anticipate lots more sunshine into the next week.
Summer is far from over, as we well know. We still have much more coming up on Weather Out West. Coming up after the break, we're headed to Arizona and Colorado, where our meteorologists are tracking monsoonal moisture and, of course, the heat. Welcome back to Weather Out West. I'm Ashley Ruiz. Next, let's head to Phoenix, where it's still going to be hot. No surprise there, but monsoonal thunderstorms are in the forecast as well. Here's Ginger Jeffries with the forecast from Phoenix.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries. We'll look at weather out west across the great state of Arizona where, we are getting some healthy monsoon action. This is actually day 2 of rain in the desert, and our most substantial moisture has yet to come. But as you can see, the Doppler is popping with some brighter banding. We've had anything from flood warnings to severe thunderstorm warnings. So far, like I said, the heaviest lifting is coming in later today. We have reports of rain all around the metro, especially in the higher elevations, but our official tally at Sky Harbor Airport still has nothing as of the early morning hours. I do expect that to change. Take a look. Arizona, we are enjoying a nice summer break from the heat. We started the work week with a weather alert about extreme heat. We're closing it out about rain. How about that? Those are the summer extremes we deal with in August here in Arizona. Today, temperature-wise, we've got 106 in Havasu, 78 in Flagstaff. Sedona been cruising near triple-digit strength all week long, but courtesy of the clouds and the moisture, numbers are coming down, upper 80s in store. 104 today in Phoenix. That's just 1 degree shy of our normal range of 105. Tucson, 91. And as you can see through Rim Country and the White Mountains, we've got a lot of rain on the horizon. As a result, our monsoon meter, this is our gauge of where we expect to see storms and how severe those storms will be. First time we have seen 6s and 7s on the board so far this year. So these are going to be strong storms, plentiful storms. They're going to be packing a powerful punch. So later today, when I really expect this to get popping, I'm watching for severe thunderstorm warnings and flood warnings. Now look at our number. We've got a 3 here in the valley, which means we too are expecting some storms with measurable rainfall, blowing dust advisories. All of that is going to encompass what's going on today. So Futurecast shows that by about 6 to 7 o'clock this morning, it looks like that early morning rainfall is going to be gone. But then by 4 o'clock, as you saw the development, we're going to see healthy coverage across the region, and that does include the metro. So our official tally at Sky Harbor should pick up some measurable rainfall. What is that looking like? Well, nothing over maybe 0.2 of an inch of rain, which for this monsoon is going to be pretty substantial given the fact that we are only in day 2 of measurable rainfall when we actually accumulate some saturation today. Now, in the next about 48 hours, this is really going to start pushing out. So as far as our tallies go, you can see through about Sunday, again, 0.2 of an inch of rain expected in Phoenix. This is going to be the grand total from this entire event that started yesterday and should be tapering off by Saturday morning. But 0.2 of an inch, given the fact that we've only seen 0.16 for the entire monsoon so far, that is a healthy bucket, a healthy drop in the bucket. And remember, these storms, they can produce over an inch of rain every hour. So if one of these cells happens to stall right over Sky Harbor, I mean, this gauge could really get up there. As far as where we should be this time of year, you saw we were in deficit, and August is traditionally one of our wettest months of the year, receiving up to an inch of rain. So now, low pressure, that's in charge. It's drawing up all that moisture. It's to the north of us. But in about the next 24 hours, that's going to push out, allowing dry conditions to take over. And anytime we're talking about dry conditions, we're also talking about warmer weather. So here we go. Flagstaff, 7-day forecast. Healthy monsoon today and tomorrow, tapering off by Sunday. But by Wednesday and Thursday, it does look like we've got a hint of energy trying to form. I'll keep you posted on that. Otherwise, as we dry out, look for your numbers to go from 104 today to 111 by Wednesday.
The 3-day heat wave wraps up today, and storm chances are in the forecast. Denver's Kathy Sabin has the forecast details, and Chris Bianchi takes a deeper dive into the drought conditions.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Kathy Sabin, and finally, this dominant high-pressure ridge is starting to break down and shift a bit. It has kept the storm track to the north of us. It's kept us high and dry with temperatures in record territory all week long, and also providing just a terrible scenario for wildfires across our state. We're dealing with about 10 blazes now. And finally, a shift in the pattern. This trough off to the west, yes, it's bringing an increase in wind out of the southwest, but it's also pulling up some of that monsoon moisture from the south, moving in into some of the fire zones on the western slope and then eventually arcing over into Denver and the Front Range, which would be wonderful. So the best chance of seeing rain from storms will actually be Saturday, but it is possible today to see some widely scattered showers and thunderstorms. But there may also be some wind and lightning events with these storms that develop. So the severe threat is outside our state's border today and tomorrow, which is good. The storms that we're tracking today will be moving from the southwest to the north. And again, there's the chance of a brief downpour across western Colorado, that area under a red flag warning and a fire weather warning. And this will be something we'll be talking about for at least the next 24 to 48 hours. There's also poor air quality. We've had some air quality alerts and health advisories out for that dense wildfire smoke, which has made its way into Denver and the Front Range. We're hoping to see some improvement as that smoke plume lifts north with a wind shift today. So temperatures start in the 60s, warm to the low and mid 90s today. There'll be sun to start, clouds by the afternoon. Saturday, though, all eyes on Saturday at 90 degrees with a 30% chance of rain from storms. Isolated storms for Sunday and Monday, and temperatures continue in the low 90s into the first part of next week.
The drought picture across Colorado, it's not good. This is now very likely for at least most of Colorado, the worst drought situation that we've had in several years. Let's start things off with the broad picture. And something we've been talking about for the last 4 months, it is a very different picture on one side of the Continental Divide versus the other. East of the divide, we had a pretty wet spring, and we also have had a decent, not great, but a decent summer. That said, the Denver metro area, we're back in drought. More on that in just a second. The focus, and of course, where we're seeing all the wildfires, it's out here. It's across the flat tops down through the western slope. A fast developing drought. In fact, most of these areas were not in drought going back to May and April. So it's only within the last few months that we've not only reintroduced drought, but this is now the highest level of drought, covering about 8% of Colorado, specifically the flat tops and down through parts of the western slope. And that is the exceptional, again, highest level of drought. This is the first time we've had that highest level of drought anywhere across Colorado since May of 2023, a little over 2 years ago. Now, in terms of the drought monitor for us here in the Denver area, that is a new addition within the last week, with most of Denver now under a moderate drought, and that is because of our very dry last 6 to 8 weeks or so. It's a short-term drought. We had a pretty, again, wet spring and early summer. It's just the last 2 months or so that have been very dry for us. So across the state of Colorado, we have the highest level of severe or worst drought since May of 22. And we've got the highest level of exceptional drought across Colorado since July of 2021. Denver back in drought for the first time since January. Unfortunately, not good news in terms of the drought picture across Colorado as of today.
Next up on our Weather Out West tour, we have forecasts from Sacramento's Monica Woods and San Diego's Vanessa Paz. And later on, glaciers are vanishing across the Cascades at the rate far faster than researchers ever thought. We'll take you to the ever-changing landscape of the South Cascades. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Time to head to California, and it's going to be another toasty one in Northern California, but changes lie ahead. Here's a forecast from Monica Woods.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods with a look at our Northern and Central California forecast with our regional headlines showcasing some of the changes we'll see. Friday, we're going to keep it on the warmer side of things, and then we really start to see those changes develop over the weekend. Morning fog, afternoon sun for the coast. For the valley, weekend cooling. Be weather aware if you're headed to the foothills. Higher up in the Sierra, storms making a return. So any camping or hiking, just be aware of any thunderstorms that are developing once you get into right about the foothill Sierra interface. Forecast highs for our Friday in the mid 90s to near 100. So that summer heat making a brief, and the keyword there is brief, return. Highs near 80 for the Sierra and 70s along the coast. Now, as we can see, Friday, we're going to see that storm chance develop through the Tahoe Basin, mainly around South Lake Tahoe, through the Central Sierra into Yosemite, and even farther south into touching the Southern Sierra. Our severe weather outlook for Saturday expands north of the Tahoe Basin through the Northern Sierra, parts of Shasta as well, into the northern Sacramento Valley. So it's going going to get quite interesting on Saturday, and we'll take a look at the weather system driving those changes. Lake Tahoe forecast over the weekend includes that chance of thunderstorms. Highs will be in the 70s as we head over to Napa. If you're headed into wine country Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be cool for this time of year. Mid 80s on Saturday. We drop those highs to the 70s on Sunday with a steady southwest wind. And along the coast, lots of low clouds and fog. Some of us not actually clearing out of that fog. Water temperature at 60 for Santa Cruz. Wave heights are going to be about 2 to 3 feet with westerly winds up to about 15 miles per hour. All right, take a look at the changes that we're going to see. We have the north winds for our Friday. That's going to erode a lot of fog for our Friday forecast along the coast. Once we start to see a return to that onshore flow, though, we'll start to see things change quite rapidly here. Friday afternoon, that slight chance of thunderstorms mainly south of Highway 50, and then driving into our Saturday forecast, weather system to the north of us starts bringing in that chance of showers and thunderstorms for the Sierra. That will linger into our Sunday forecast as well. In fact, there's a bigger onshore push on Sunday, resulting in temperatures well below average. We'll be near 80 to wrap up this work week, though, for the Sierra. 80s and 90s for the foothills. Traveling southbound, we're going to find that chance of thunderstorms, including Yosemite at 83 degrees. Inland areas for the valley will warm things into the mid 90s, getting awfully close to 100 for some of us. 60s and 70s along the central coast. We'll see the Monterey Bay Peninsula reaching highs in the 60s. 70s a little farther to the south for San Luis Obispo. Inland areas, we're going to warm again right around the mid to upper 90s, close to 100 for our Friday. 60s and 70s along the Bay Area coastline. Once we head inland, we're in the 90s. As you can see, morning lows will drop down into the 60s. Northwest coast, we got a lot of low clouds and fog. Crescent City 66, Eureka 65. We move inland. We're at 100 for Redding and Red Bluff, even Willows at 100 degrees as well. Central Valley for the capital region, highs are going to be ranging from the mid 90s to near 100. But that is it. We'll see highs dropping quickly over the weekend. Chance of thunderstorms for the Sierra, dry by early next week. For the foothills, we're going to be in the 80s, but the upper foothills is where we kind of see the potential for some thunderstorms, especially on Sunday. And then for the coast, we've got highs in the 70s on Friday, 70 on Saturday, dropping to the 60s on Sunday, with the fog pretty much socking in much of the coast for that Sunday outlook. So 95 for that Friday forecast. We drop to the upper 80s on Saturday, low 80s, 10 degrees below average on Sunday. It's going to be a warming trend into next week, but we'll still hold on to the 80s on Monday. It's not until the middle and end of next week that we get back to highs in the mid to upper 90s, some of us back to around 100.
Meanwhile, in Southern California, it's going to be a cooler start to the weekend, but temperatures will climb once again next week. Vanessa Paz has your forecast from San Diego.
Happy Friday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Here's what it looked like along the coast earlier this morning. We saw plenty of clouds to go around. Those clouds spilled well into the inland valleys, but they were quicker to clear for interior spots, and we saw rapid warming as we progressed through the mid-morning. All right, here's a look at our surf forecast for our beaches. We had pretty high surf over the past couple of days, and we're seeing those waves subside a little bit. Mixed southwest swell is moving in. Water temperatures aren't too bad in the high 60s to low 70s. Rip current risk will remain at a moderate level, so we do have that high potential of dangerous swimming conditions, especially for those who are inexperienced. Low tide was just after 8 o'clock at about 2 feet, and we are now aiming towards high tide at about 5.4 feet, which will happen just before 3:30 this afternoon. The UV index is remaining at a very high level, 10.4, so those who are outside should certainly apply and reapply that sunscreen. And if you're headed into the water, hopefully that sunscreen is reef friendly. All right, as we wrap up the work week and say adios to the week and hello to the weekend, here's what we need to know in terms of weather headlines. We will be running a lot cooler than where we should be for this time of the year into the weekend. The clouds will continue to linger, especially along the coastal areas each night and morning, with more stubborn clearing for the immediate coast and better clearing about 5 miles away from the coast. We still have that high surf impacting our beaches, but those waves will subside as we progress into the weekend. Taking a look at today's highs versus where we should be for this time of the year, we are going to run much cooler than where we should be. In fact, the coastal areas, after all, we are in the thick of summer still, and in August, which is one of our warmest months of the entire year for San Diego, will be anywhere between 5 to 10 degrees normal. We should typically be in the high 70s for the coastal areas, and this afternoon we'll push into the mid to low 70s for some of our coastal communities. Meanwhile, the inland valleys will see highs in the high 80s, should see highs in the high 80s, and we'll be pushing into the mid to low 80s for areas like El Cajon as well as Ramona. The mountain areas are finally playing catch up when it comes to being below average. We were soaring above average over the past couple of days, and now we're going to see those cooler temperatures impacting the county's eastern half, including the mountains and deserts as well. Meanwhile, the desert areas this afternoon will produce highs in the low hundreds. Here's what's on tap for Saturday. We really couldn't ask for more. I mean, we're talking 70s. Yes, some clouds to start off the day, but we should see more sunshine as we progress through the afternoon for the coastal areas. We'll be hitting highs close to 80 degrees for the inland areas, punching into the 80s for the mountains, and we'll be in the low hundreds tomorrow for our desert. So in terms of comparing today's highs versus tomorrow's highs, will actually be a couple of degrees cooler for some spots. The reason why we are spoiled with these mild conditions is all due to this trough of low pressure centering itself over central California. That's going to continue to enhance onshore flow for us. As we take a wider look at what else is happening across the nation, we have this trough of low pressure tapping into an atmospheric river, bringing beneficial rain to the Pacific Northwest. That ridge of high pressure, also known as that warmer air, is pushing out east, and that's the reason why things are allowed to cool down for us here in San Diego. The winds are going to have an uptick, anywhere between 10 to 20 mile per hour winds expected for the coast all the way towards the inland valleys. Isolated gusts for the mountains and deserts could be anywhere between 30 to 40 miles per hour or so. Today and tomorrow are going to be some of the coolest days of the next 7, and then Sunday's our transition day into a warmer pattern. So by the middle of next week, those inland valleys will be a lot closer to normal, where we should be for this time of the year. We'll stay in the low hundreds through the weekend for the deserts.
Stick with us, because after the break, Julie Martin has the national forecast, and I'll bring you the latest on what's happening in the tropics. Welcome back. Julie Martin is tracking high heat out east and the severe weather potential for the plains.
Well, happy Friday. We are expecting some storms that could turn severe in the high plains. Also, some extreme heat actually in the central, the Midwestern region, and the south. Places like Florida, excessively hot. And we'll have cool weather along the west coast. Taking a look at those temperatures starting in the west, really comfortable here from Seattle into Portland. We've got the 60s and 70s. Boise still hot at 92, as well as Sacramento. San Diego chilly at 69 degrees today. Moving over toward Texas, we're going to see those 90s in play. Denver, you'll be around 94. And then the eastern half of the country, as I mentioned, looks pretty hot all the way from the Midwest into the south. Jacksonville at 95, extreme heat for you. Charlotte at 92. Louisville, you'll be at 94. We do start to get some relief, though, as we head into the northeast. That's where those 80s are making a comeback. Here's a look, though, at those heat advisories in orange here, really stretching from the plains through the Midwest and in through the deep south. So a lot of humidity, a lot of heat, a lot of tropical air really being brought in. That's going to keep things on the muggy side. Also here in red, we have a fire danger in the Four Corners and Great Basin region. Taking a look at that severe weather threat for today, then we are looking at those storms perhaps stretching from the Dakotas through Minnesota. Twin Cities, not out of the question. Some of those storms could turn severe in your area, and then into portions of Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Some other spots we'll be watching for isolated severe storms. All right, the tropical outlook. We do have a couple of areas. We'll start here in the Gulf of Mexico. This particular area we're keeping an eye on, as is the National Hurricane Center. About a 50% chance of development, and what this is likely going to do is just bring some rain into South Texas and then make its way in through Mexico. However, Tropical Storm Erin continues to churn in the Atlantic, and all reports indicate that Aaron will strengthen into a hurricane over the next day or so, making its way in general toward the islands here, toward Puerto Rico, just maybe a little bit north. And so those islands right now under tropical storm watches. In terms of the east coast of the U.S., though, at this point, not looking like it's going to have direct impacts. Okay, taking a look at those highs for your weekend. Looking nice there in Seattle. Portland, you're looking good as well. Spokane making it up into the 80s. Boise, you'll be in the 80s and 90s. Hot in Sacramento, but we do cool off back to the 80s. San Diego, you'll warm up a few degrees. Phoenix staying hot. Denver, you'll stay in the 90s. And hot all across Texas with those mid to high 90s in play. Hot across the deep south, as I mentioned, extreme heat with those heat advisories in effect. St. Louis, that goes for you, as well as Memphis and Louisville. Charlotte, you'll be on the warm side. Comfortable conditions around the Great Lakes region and more comfortable in New England, the Northeast, and the Mid-Atlantic. Have a great weekend.
I do have a tropical update to bring to you. That area, that disturbance over the western Gulf, that no longer has the chance for development as it begins to move into Texas and then near the Texas and Mexico border. But regardless, it was still going to bring some heavy rain to portions of southern Texas because of all of that rich moisture from the Gulf. And when you have these thunderstorms that just push ashore, they have to go somewhere, and they bring all of that moisture. And again, that has to go somewhere. So some good news there, but it's no longer over water. I have an update on Aaron as well. It is now officially a hurricane. Here's the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. It actually came in 11 o'clock Pacific time, and it has max sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. To make it a hurricane, it has to be 74 or greater. It is still expected to curve off to sea, staying to the west of Bermuda as it curves. But regardless, being on the west side of if a hurricane or a tropical storm or anything of that nature, they say west is best, east is the beast. So in this case, with Bermuda being east of the hurricane, it's really going to still bring some impacts there. For the East Coast, going to bring, likely at least, the rip current risk and maybe some gusty winds. But it is forecast to become a major hurricane over the next couple of days, possibly maxing out as a Cat 4 hurricane. But thankfully, once again, this is expected to stay out to sea. We have much more coming up in just a few minutes. In fact, we were mentioning earlier about glaciers, and after the break, we have a series by the Environment Northwest team where scientists are saying glaciers are melting at a pace they've never seen before. And we'll have the details on what this means for the future of our mountains in the Pacific Northwest. The beauty of the Three Sisters can stop you in your tracks, but behind the snow-capped peaks lies a troubling shift. Glaciers that have defined Oregon's high country for thousands of years are melting away at a pace scientists say they've never seen before. This week, our Environment Northwest team reports from across the Northwest for our series Glaciers on Thin Ice. And today, we're going to give you a taste of the series they put together with meteorologist Joe Rainieri out of KGW's Portland. He hiked to Clark Glacier in Oregon to see the changes firsthand, and he tells us what they could mean for the state's future. And to see all of the coverage, you can always.
The Three Sisters are iconic to the Pacific Northwest, especially up here on South Sister, one of the tallest mountains in the entire state. But what we're starting to see with these snow-capped mountains are some big changes. There's a reason South Sister,
this is my fourth time,
is one of the more popular peaks to climb.
I mean, it's absolutely stunning. There's views almost the whole way because you're above tree line, which is great. It's also one of the few hikes where you can pack in a lot of elevation gain. So if you're looking for a good workout, it's a great one.
But as you climb higher and higher,
they are no longer having any snow left them at the end of the summer. And so that means they are going to continue to retreat and disappear under the current climate as it is today.
You're seeing more rock exposed up here at 9,000 feet instead of snow and ice.
The predictions from 15 years ago have now come to fruition.
Anders Carlson is the president of the Oregon Glaciers Institute. He's been studying glaciers for the last 25 years.
There are other glaciers that have disappeared around there as well. Irving to the north of that on Middle Sister. Eugene Glacier on South Sister is gone.
Carlson says glaciers are melting rapidly through the Three Sisters.
In the last 10 years, the state of the climate impacts on the planet, even down to the local area here in Oregon, up in the Cascades, have just skyrocketed.
The glaciers up here on South Sister are slowly disappearing. Take Clark Glacier, for example. It's gone. It's now just a snowfield, but it's not just taking place up here in the central Oregon Cascades. This is something we're seeing across the globe. This is what Clark Glacier looked like 100 years ago. Now compare it to today.
Oh, in its glory, it was 3-4 times the size that it is now.
Andrew Fountain is a retired geologist professor at Portland State University.
Our study, which is about to be published, showed that there's roughly somewhere between 40 and 50% glacier loss since the mid-1960s.
According to new research by the University of Northern British Columbia, over a 4-year period from 2021 to 2024, glaciers in Western Canada, the United States, and parts of Europe lost 12% of their total volume.
You just scale it up, over 10 years, then that is more than 20%. So it's significant.
Figuring out what's behind this is no surprise.
Well, it's all effective temperature shrinking these glaciers.
Our summers over the last decade are getting hotter.
Is just an acceleration of that trend that's affecting all the glaciers. When we have the heat dome, that's not good for glaciers.
So what will this area look like in the next 50 years?
As of the current level of warming is already too hot to keep glaciers in the Three Sisters region. They will disappear under the current temperature we have.
An unrecognizable landscape from what we're seeing today. For Environment Northwest, I'm meteorologist Joe Ranieri.
And to see all of our coverage, you can stream the series on your Local Plus app. That does it for us here on Weather Out West on this Friday. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. We thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you join us next week on Monday for our next Weather Out West.